Hello, 8th grade, and welcome to lesson 22, where we will be finishing chapter 21. So yesterday we left off kind of right in the middle of a topic, and I want to take a look at that. You're going to see on your screen question 5. Question 5 says, in what ways was Leonard Rodriguez heroic? What might have been his motive in helping Jean? So when we finished yesterday, he was just starting to tell her how the teachers were trying to stuff the ballot box so that she was not going to win the Carnival Queen. There's much more to that story. We will read that today. And then question 6, should Jean have protested when she found out that the administration was trying to fix the voting? Why or why not? So initially what we saw so far, and I believe it somewhat stays the same, is that she just kind of is like, whatever, let her have it. She's kind of given up that she just can't have it. This is your opinion though, as to whether or not she reacted in the correct way and why. Okay, question 7, how does Papa react to the news that Jean won the contest? So we do find out she ends up winning. 8, for Papa, what would be the worst outcome for his daughter? Look at Jean's full name on the cover of the book. What do you think happened in her adult life? You can kind of predict this one already. We know that her name in the book is Jean Wakasuki, and her last name is Houston, and her husband, James D. Houston, helped her write this book. We'll talk more about that as we get to that question. Question 9, for Lois Carson seems like a nice girl, but 2 things involving her on the night of the Queen's coronation emphasize the fact that Jean will never truly belong in Lois's social circle. Explain the 2 things that emphasize this divide, and I will make sure to pause and discuss those with you as we're reading. Question 10, as Jean participates in the coronation when she's being crowned, she feels a stifling heat and wants to leave. But all eyes were on me. It was too late not to follow this make-believe carpet to its plywood finale, and I did not yet know of any truer destination. Explain what she means here. What has she realized? And once again, we'll stop and discuss that a little bit as we read as well. So if you would grab your book, we left off on page 175. I'm going to stop in the middle so that we would be at that 20-minute mark. So we are on the right-hand side of the page. And remember that Leonard Rodriguez has just come up to her and told her about how the teachers are stuffing the ballot box. If she doesn't make Carnival Queen this year, Leonard went on smugly, she'll never be queen of anything anywhere else for the rest of her life. Let her have it then, if she wants it so much. No, we can't do that. You can't do that. I could do that very easily. I wasn't going to be caught caring about this or needing it the way I had needed the majorette position. I already sensed, though I couldn't have said why, that I would lose either way. No matter how it turned out, my face was indifferent. How can I stop them from fudging? I said, if that's what they want to do. He hesitated. He looked around. He set his brown face. My champion. You can't, he said, but I can. Now notice how she points that out. So what is it? Why might he be choosing to help her when we look at this motive, when he sets his brown face? Think about his name, Leonard Rodriguez. Is it possible that he has been discriminated against as well? Probably. You know, he is Hispanic, and it's very possible that he doesn't fit in all of the social circles either. And to the fact that they would be doing this might be outraging him, and it's a way to stand up for himself as well, and to stand up for other minorities. Okay, so let's continue. He turned and hurried away from the office. The next morning, he told me he had gone in there and raised holy hell. Threatened to break this news to the student body and make the whole thing more trouble than it would ever be worth. An hour later, the announcement came over the intercom that I had been chosen. I didn't believe it. I couldn't let myself believe it. But for the classmates who had nominated me, I had to look overjoyed. I glanced across at Leonard, and he winked, shouting and whooping now with all the others. At home that evening, when I brought this news, no one whooped. Papa was furious. I had not told them I was running for queen. There was no mentioning it until I had something to mention. He asked me what I had worn at the tryouts. I told him. No wonder those Hakajin boys voted for you. That means Caucasian. He shouted. It is just like those majorette clothes you wear in the street, showing off your body. Is that the kind of queen you want to be? I didn't say anything. When Papa lectured and listened, if anyone spoke up, it would be Mama, trying to mediate. Co, she said now, these things are important to Jeannie. She is important? I tell you what is important. Modesty is important. A graceful body is important. You don't show your legs all the time. You don't walk around like this. He did an imitation of a girl's walk, with shoulders straight, an assertive stride, and lips pulled back in a baboon's grin. I started to laugh. Don't laugh. This is not funny. You become this kind of woman, and what Japanese boy is going to marry you? Tell me that. You put on tight clothes and walk around like Jean Harlow, and Hakajin boys make you the queen. And pretty soon you end up marrying a Hakajin boy. I'm going to pause there for a second. So we've really gotten answers to 2 questions. 7, how does Papa react to the news that she won the contest? He is furious. He goes on and on. Why is he furious? So make sure that you add that to your answer as well. Not just he is furious. Papa was furious that Jean won the contest because she's not being modest. She's showing off her femininity, and it's not how he wants his daughter to behave. He also, then this leads into the next question. What's the worst outcome for his daughter? She could end up marrying not a Japanese boy, but a Caucasian boy. What do you think James D. Houston might be? Did she end up marrying a Caucasian man? Yeah. Okay. He broke off. He could think of no worse end result. He began to stomp back and forth across the floor while Mama looked at me cautiously with a glance that said, be patient, wait him out. After he has spoken his piece, you and I can talk sensibly. He saw this and turned on her. Hey, how come your daughter is 17 years old, and if you put a sack over your face, you couldn't tell she was Japanese from anybody else on the street? Oh, Mama said quietly, Jeannie's in high school now. Next year, she's going to go to college. She's learning other things. Listen to me. It's not too late for her to learn Japanese ways of movement. The Buddhist church in San Jose gives a Dori class twice a week. Jeannie, I want you to phone the teacher and tell her you are going to start taking lessons. Mama has kimonos you can wear. She can show you things too. She used to know all the dances. We have pictures somewhere. Mama, what happened to all those pictures? I had seen them. Photos of Mama when she lived in Spokane, 12 years old, and her round face blanched with rice powder. I remember the afternoon I spent with the incomprehensible old geisha at Manzanar. Papa, I complained, don't make faces. You want to be the carnival queen? I tell you what, I'll make you a deal with you. You can be the queen if you start Adori lessons at the Buddhist church as soon as school is out. He stood there, hands on hips, glaring at me, and not at all satisfied with this ultimatum. It was far too late for Adori classes to have any effect on me, and Papa knew this. But he owed it to himself to make one more show of resistance. When I signed up a few weeks later, I lasted about 10 lessons. The teacher herself sent me away. I smiled too much and couldn't break the habit. Like a majorette before the ever-shifting sidewalk crowd, I smiled during performances. And in Japanese dancing, that is equivalent to a concert violinist walking on stage in a bathing suit. Papa didn't mention my queenship again. He just glared at me from time to time with great distaste, as if I had betrayed him. Yet in that glare, I sometimes detected a flicker of approval, as if this streak of independence, this refusal to be shaped by him, reflected his own obstinance. At least these glances seemed to say, she has inherited that. Mama, of course, was very proud. She took charge and helped me pick out the dress I would wear for the coronation. We drove to San Jose and spent an afternoon in the shops downtown. She could take time for such things now that Papa was working again. This was one of the few days she and I ever spent together, just the two of us, and it confirmed something I'd felt since early childhood. In her quiet way, she had always supported me, alongside of or underneath Papa's demands and expectations. Now she wanted for me the same thing I thought I wanted, acceptance. In her eyes was simply another means for survival. Her support and Papa's resistance had one point in common. Too much exposure was unbecoming. All the other girls, my 4 attendants, were going strapless. Mama wouldn't allow this. By the time we finished shopping, I had begun to agree with her. When she picked out a frilly ball gown that covered almost everything and buried my legs under layers of ruffles, I thought it was absolutely right. I had used a low-cut sarong to win the contest. But once chosen, I would be a white-gowned figure out of Gone with the Wind. I would be respectable. On coronation night, the gym was lit like a church, with bleachers and half dark and a throne at one end flooded brightly from the ceiling. The throne was made of plywood, its back shaped into fleur-de-lis, and all covered with purple taffeta that shone like oily water under moonlight. Bed sheets were spread to stimulate a wide, white carpet the length of the gym, from the throne of the door of the girls' locker room where, with my attendants, we waited for the PA system to give us our musical cue. Lois Carson, the trustee's daughter, was one of them. She wore a very expensive strapless gown and a huge orchid corsage. Her pool brown shoulders glowed in the harsh bulb light above the lockers. "Oh, Jeannie," she had said as we took off our coats, "what a marvelous idea." I looked at her inquisitively. "The high neck," she explained, studying my dress. "You look so sedate, just perfect for a queen." As the other girls arrived, she made sure they all agreed with this. "Don't you wish you'd thought of it?" she would say. And then to me, during a silence she felt obliged to fill, "I just love Chinese food." The others exclaimed that they too loved Chinese food, and we talked about recipes and restaurants until the music faded in. So let's pause for just a second. So she seems like a nice girl. She's complimenting her, making sure the other girls agree that her dress was the right choice for her. So she's made the first statement in here that lets her know that there's this divide. She's trying to connect with her, but her connection is, "I like Chinese food." What does that have to do with Jean? Jean is Japanese. So she's really kind of clueless as far as anything about Jean. Okay, so the song, "Girl of My Dreams, I Love You, Honest I Do, You Are So Sweet." I ruined it. It swelled during the opening bars to cover all the other sounds in the gym. I stepped out into blue light that covered the first sheet, walking very slowly, like you do at weddings, carrying against the white bodice of my gown a bouquet of pink carnations. A burst of applause resounded beneath the music, politely enthusiastic, followed by a steady murmur. The gym was packed, and the lights were intense. Suddenly, it was too hot out there. I imagined that they were all murmuring about my dress. They saw the girls behind me staring at it. The throne seemed blocks away, and now the dress was stifling me. I had never before worn such an outfit. It was not at all what I should have on. I wanted my sarong, but then thought, no, that would have been worse. Papa had been right about the sarong. Maybe he was right about everything. What was I doing out there anyway, trying to be a carnival queen? The teachers who counted the votes certainly didn't think it was such a good idea. Neither did the trustees. The students wanted me, though. Their votes proved that. I kept walking my processional walk, thinking of all the kids who had voted for me, not wanting to let them down, although in a way I already had. It wasn't the girl in this old-fashioned dress they had voted for, but if not her, who had they voted for? Somebody I wanted to be and wasn't. Who was I then? According to the big wall speakers now saxophoning through the gym, I was the girl of somebody's dream. Since you've been gone, dear, life don't seem the same. Please come back again. I looked ahead at the throne. It was even further away, a purple carriage receding as I approached. I glanced back. My 4 attendants seemed tiny. Had they stopped back there? Afterward, there would be a little reception in one of the classrooms, punch and cookies under fluorescent tubes. Later, at Lois Carson's house, there'd be a more intimate, less public gathering, which I'd overheard a mention of, but wouldn't be invited to. So there's the second thing about Lois Carson. You know, she's the one with the money, she's having the party afterwards, but it's a private event, and the Carnival Queen was not invited. So there's this divide still between Lois Carson and the stature of where she is in society, and Jean and where she is. Oyster dip. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to cry. I wanted to be 10 years old again, so I could believe in princesses and queens. It was too late to be an adory dancer for Papa, too late to be this kind of heroine. I wanted the carnival to end so I could go somewhere private, climb out of my stuffy dress and cool off. But all eyes were on me. It was too late now not to follow this make-believe carpet to its plywood finale, and I did not yet know of any truer destination. So what is it that Jean realizes at the end of this chapter? She's trying to be someone that she's not. She doesn't feel as though she fits in with her Japanese heritage. She has been trying to fit in with this American society and the way that the Caucasians behave, but yet she's not really allowed to enter into that society and be that type of a girl, even though that's so desperately what she wants. She's not able to join that particular group. But she kept trying. She kept doing the different things that would make her feel as though she fit in, being a majorette, and then trying out for the Carnival Queen to some degree. And she followed through with that, feeling as though maybe that would let her feel like she was part of their society. But here she realizes, I'm not. I'm never truly going to fit in with this particular group, because even if I win, they're not going to invite me to their parties. They don't even understand me. They're talking about Chinese food. So there's this realization that she doesn't fit in. And at the very end, that statement, I did not yet know of any truer destination. She doesn't know who she's going to become. She doesn't know what is the truth for her, and which she's going to have to find, because she's not truly Japanese. She was born here in America. She's got to figure out who she is as a Japanese American. Where is it that she fits in? And then that ends part 2 of the book. That takes us into part 3, which is really only one chapter. The memoir part before this led us through Manzanar and her life after Manzanar. And then we'll get a brief introduction into some of her adult life and some of the reasonings behind this memoir. So I hope that you've enjoyed it so far. We'll wrap it up next time, although it's sort of a longer chapter, so it may be more than one lesson. And we'll see. We'll wrap this up soon. Have a great day. Oh, remember there, so chapter 11 questions will be due, I'm sorry, chapter 21 questions will be due with chapter 22, but there is a quiz for you to take. So the quiz, I believe it's chapter 17 through 21, which ends part 2. So please make sure that you take that quiz before you even need to submit those questions. Now have a great day.